Welcome to Single Mom Honey, the podcast dedicated to single moms with a focus on health, money, and everything in between.
Quaylin? Shit, that is my name. Goddamn, the mom brain starts early in the morning. Hi, I'm Quaylin. I cover the health.
And I'm Aisha. I cover the money. So today we have a very special guest here. So Tosh, thank you so much for joining us here on Single Mom Honey.
It is my pleasure. I'm so excited to be here. I am a fan, y'all.
We love that. We love to hear about people who are really grasping on to our podcast and also able to relate to the information and also being able to add to the conversation. So if you too would be interested in being a guest on Single Mom Honey, go ahead and send us an email at singlemomhoney@gmail.com, or you can follow us on our socials at Single Mom Honey Official on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, and send us a message and let us know.
All right.
So we'll go into Tasha's bio. So Tasha is recently divorced from a 7-year marriage and has a 7-year-old daughter. She is navigating the world of co-parenting and adjusting to having joint custody. She loves traveling for work and play and cherishes family and her health and mental wellness.
Time out on a play. Can we do that intro over? Can we not by saying she's divorced? Can we talk about the other things that she does?
That was the bio she submitted.
Well, I just feel like, you're a whole woman. That divorce does not define you. When you start out with divorce, it's like, oh.
Well, I did it for this because it's about single moms.
All right, fine.
I am a single mom because
I'm just saying, you're so awesome besides that.
Then you can end it with the divorce then.
You see what I'm saying? I mean,
a single mom by divorce. I don't know.
Okay. All right, fine. Go ahead. My bad.
I'm just chilling.
Did y'all acknowledge that you're divorced on your podcast?
Yes.
Yeah. I just felt like, a lot of times when I say, oh, I'm divorced. Now, granted, it's for the podcast, you know what I mean? But you are.
Thank you.
3 million other things besides that. And
I promise. I never introduced myself that way.
Okay,
anywhere else.
Fine. Okay, fine.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So today we're talking about something that does not get enough attention. And that would be how to support your children during transitions, especially between homes, during and after divorce. I will say it was quite the challenge for me.
Yeah, it's still the challenge for me.
Now, unfortunately, sometimes both homes are not like home. Remember when Dorothy says there's no place like home? I mean, I feel like kids really feel that. So it's very important to take time and put effort into this transition because it can be detrimental to your children if it's not done right. Yes, whether you're newly divorced or years into co-parenting, transitions can bring up some big feelings for you and your kids. So I guess, Tosh, I want to start by asking, what common emotional reactions do your kids have during transitions days? And I know you have one daughter. Wonderful,
one
beautiful
daughter. Thank you. She is my heart. Well, first, I'll say that transition days are often longer than one day. It's a series of days. I find that my child is hyper mindful of the days of the week, and she's keeping count of the number of days that she has with me. And on the flip side, the number of days she has until she sees her father.
That's what Langston does too. My oldest, he'd be like, "What day of the week is it?" Once he learned the days of the weeks and he noticed the pattern. Okay, Tuesdays and Thursdays, my days I go with that. Tuesday, they are constantly asking you to reassurance because their life does adjust during those time periods. So I totally agree. Same thing.
Every day
okay, for me, my kids are a bit older now, and only my oldest will go to meet her father. We did have a custody order where he was supposed to get them every other weekend, but in all honesty, it's been about maybe 4 or 5 years since he's ever had them overnight.
That's crazy.
And they don't even go to him regularly during the week. There are no planned visits at this time. He doesn't go by the custody order. So I think when there was a time when he was seeing them more regularly, there was a lot of anxiety before transitioning. And
that's right, with the questions of our kids asking what's the day? What's the day? What's the day?
Yeah, and they definitely, when they came back home, they had to retransition back home because when they left here, the structure that they had here was not present at the other home.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yes, it is. It's always mixed emotions too. And sometimes I try to avoid talking about it on that day, but the day leading up to it, really sucks. Like, I can feel it like a pit in my stomach, and so I can
Mhm.
only imagine what she's feeling. But no,
I know it's about I was gonna
See?
ask, would you be comfortable sharing your schedule?
yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay. I was gonna ask, but I wanna
Because I don't
Go
know if
ahead.
I want to talk about that in the last one, the piece of advice, but I would like to say, how I kind of struggle with my identity as a single mom because, I am a part-time mom now. Like, what the
Mhm.
fuck?
You are not a part-time mom. You're always a mom.
Girl,
Yeah, but she
I
never had kids
know.
before this one. It's the only one
I
she got.
know, but even on the weekends that they're gone, that is time for you to regroup, reinvent your schedule, yourself, get back
Uh,
to you so you can be the best mom that she needs. And you
Mhm.
gotta reframe it because sometimes it's a blessing in disguise. A lot of times we think we gotta be there 24/7, but we don't, especially if they're safe, fed, clothed, they're not in danger. Now if by chance it was the alternative to that, then, it might be more of a struggle. But no, you're not a part-time mom just because you don't see your kids during the week. I'm sure your daughter still calls you. She
She
still
did
knows
call
she's
herself a
mom.
part-time mom. Did you call yourself a part-time mom? I thought you
She
yes.
said
did.
first-time
I know,
mom.
part-time. I said
Oh,
part-time.
I thought you said first. I was like, she never had kids before this?
That's why he was
Okay,
like,
I
she
didn't
didn't
hear that
have
part.
any kids.
Alright, let's get back to the transition part. We'll
Okay.
get into that other
All
stuff
right.
later. But,
Okay, perfect.
Look, you can
alright,
use
so
some
leading
sound
into the
bites from that.
transition.
And so now that we've been doing this for close to a year, the emotions around the transition, they don't linger as long as they did before. And this is telling me that we're both feeling emotionally secure and understanding of the new life that we have.
Absolutely. So I get all of those things, and our kids are actually the same age. So it's interesting to see how we both have noticed the same changes around the same times with our kids concerning their awareness of what's going on around them. How can a single mom emotionally prepare her child before transition days? What's some things that has worked for you and your child?
Well, for one thing, just kind of observing, right? You're going to notice some patterns, some trends, and then
Mhm.
you'll have ways to be able to better support your child. I'll say for us, there's excitement mixed with guilt. And I have to be okay with that too, right? Knowing
Mhm.
that, okay, my child's actually excited to leave me and wants to go see her father. And that is okay. Grateful for that. I
Yeah.
encourage that and I do not make her feel bad for
That's
it.
very healthy that they are okay
Yes.
expressing how they
Yes.
care about the other parent because I want your village to be huge. I want you to get love from everyone. So
Exactly.
that's a beautiful feeling to have.
And
No,
knowing my child. Oh,
I will say that, like, for me, when I used to have transition days, I have 3 different kids, so they all had different feelings. I had the
Dang.
one who was like, "I don't care. Do I gotta go over there? I really just wanna go play with my cousins." That's the youngest, because in all honesty, he left when he was going on 2 years old, so, like, he really doesn't have that connection. Then
Yeah.
I have my middle child, she's like her anxiety would go through the roof because she was put into situations where when I sent her to him, he would just drop them off with other people. So she's like, "Hey, mom, I don't want to go. What if I have an asthma attack? Last time he dropped me off, he didn't bring my inhaler." And,
That's crazy. I'm
no,
trying
but
to
this
let you finish, but then
real. This is
crazy,
real.
reckless.
Like, and then, the oldest, she went through her teenage stage. Like, more recently, I say late bloomer on the teenage stage. She got rebellious late in the game. And then
Mhm.
she only wanted to see her dad when she was mad at me. And I'm like,
Mhm.
girl, go. If you can get them to do something for you, go for it. But it was like trying to juggle all those feelings. Yes, because there was the indifference, there was the one who had extreme fear. And I will say the oldest had fear too, because she had expressed to me at some points that, like, I don't want to go over there because I got to be a grown up when I go over there. I got to watch, I got to make sure the kids are safe. She kept referring to her siblings as kids, like other kids. And I'm like, you're
You're
a
a
kid
kid too,
too,
boo.
and that's rough. It's
Yeah.
definitely rough on the kids. Um, it's a lot to juggle to try to get them emotionally ready. But what I really tried to do was say, hey, wherever you go, if you need me, I'm coming. Period. I don't care where you at. I got your
Mhm.
location. You got my location. I will answer at any time of night. If you feel unsafe, you call your mother.
Yeah. That's
Not
important.
trying to tell them that they're going to be unsafe because I'm hoping for the best because you don't want nothing happening to your kids. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
ultimately, sometimes you realize once you separate, the only safety and security is with the primary pyramid. I'm sorry, pyramid. Parent. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I realized that quickly. Like, sometimes the other parent isn't ready for single parentum.
They
It's not
weren't
for everybody.
lifting a finger when they were at the house. Some
Right, right, right.
situations. So
So
now you in
I
your own spot. Lord, I know that wrist is
exactly,
limp. I know you
exactly.
still can't lift no, you ain't been building it up. You
And
don't
I
know
mean,
what to do.
exactly. It's a lot of emotional insecurity for the
Yeah.
kids to have to deal with at such an early age. And then being dropped off, I know my kids would call and be like, "Hey, we don't have food here. Can you send us food here?" Well, dad's not
Mm.
here. There's been times I had to go pick them up. Like, multiple times, it's a whole lot to
So how else do you prepare your child for transition days, Tosh?
So I certainly don't dwell on it, right? Because, like we said, she's already keeping track of the days and the minutes and the
Mhm,
Mhm.
hours. She knows exactly when we're leaving. She's leaving on Friday at 6
mhm.
p.m. But what I do is I try to repeat positive affirmations to her, reassure her that I'll be here waiting for her and that she's loved and cared for at both homes. I just try to turn it into a positive situation as best as I can. She's blessed to have 2 homes with everything that she needs at each of them, but I also validate her feelings, and she does have every right to feel sad and anxious.
That's beautiful. I love the fact that you said you validate her feelings because sometimes like, oh, well, this how it is. I don't know what to tell you. You know, deal with it, 7-year-old. Get your life together.
You know what? I think we're breaking generational curses because I think back in the day, like,
Yep.
kids were to be seen and not heard, but I definitely did a lot of listening to my kids and trying to validate their feelings as well. I think that's a great move because 'cause they're whole people. It's amazing to watch them grow from these little babies into, like, people with, like, thoughts, and they're in, like, full sentences, and they got
Mhm.
questions, and you're like, "Oh my god." Yeah, so I think that's pretty awesome. Now, Tosh, I wanted to ask you, how can moms create a sense of stability even if they can't control what happens in the other home?
Absolutely. The first step is realizing just that you cannot control what is happening in the other home. You
You would
gotta let it
drive
go.
yourself crazy trying to do it. So
Absolutely.
chill.
Let it go. But,
You
once
gotta
you
finish the song. You gotta finish the song. You can't just start singing. That's the
can't
jam.
control what's going on no more. But yeah, once you do come to terms with that, you just focus on the things that you can anchor. Things like predictable routines in your home, a consistent
Mhm.
discipline style, guidelines and rules in the home, and being emotionally available for your child. And also not bad mouthing or probing into what's going on in the other household and what the other parent has going on.
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more because
I
that does
do
nothing.
okay, so I don't know if this is considered bad mouthing, but the one thing that I do correct my children on, even though I know I cannot control what happens over there, we do not keep secrets,
Oh,
okay?
absolutely.
Even
No
if that
secrets
Mhm.
other
here.
parent encourages secrets to
Mhm.
be kept, that's where I push up against it. Like, yeah, no, we don't keep secrets. I'm not supposed to tell you because daddy told me what happens at his house stays at his house. Who womb did you come out of?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, no. I don't care who house it is. I don't care if it's on the street. I don't care if it's in the woods. I don't care if it's in the building. You don't keep secrets from mommy. My job is to protect you, and nobody who cares and loves about you will ever teach you how
To
to
keep
keep a
secrets.
secret.
You know,
That's
Absolutely.
dangerous.
it is dangerous. I will say this. I always told my kids, if you have any questions, and I said rules and guidelines that apply everywhere and anywhere they go. So if they're
Mhm.
not with me, they know. When you go to someone else's house, because I had a lot of incidents where he would drop them off at other people's houses that I didn't know.
Oh,
And it's like during his time, the court will say, you can't control. If
I
he
know.
has a babysitter,
I've been told that
that's
too.
his question. I told my kids, no one else is to touch their private parts. No one
Mhm.
else is to be washing them up. No one else is to be doing that. So, I do think it was a hard transition for my oldest when she was still going over to visit him years ago, like when it was court ordered, and because she was me when I wasn't there. Because she
Mhm.
had incidents where she was like, Dad left us here, and this lady said she was going to go wash my brother up. And I was like, no, you cannot be in the bathroom by yourself with my brother. I do not know you, and neither does my mom.
Mhm.
And quite honestly, neither did their father. So you don't know if people have clearances, things, it's really a lot. I really think that we have to set the groundwork for our kids and for their safety because you can't always count on the other person to follow through.
Mhm.
Let's think about like co parenting, like co piloting. right? They're not going to have a co-pilot in a plane who can't fly the fucking plane.
Yeah.
Like you can't.
If I pass out, you supposed to be able to pick it up and go.
You're just going to be like, no, I got stuff to do. Like,
Yeah.
there's passengers here, and these are our kids. Like,
Look, think about it. They're not like, nah, I got something to do. Get their little jetpack. Like, well, I don't know what y'all about to do, but I'm going. Jump themselves
What
out.
about the kid?
Leave everybody else there to fend for themselves. Yeah,
Like,
sounds
mama.
accurate. No.
But for real, guys, but like they say, right, it's the devil you know. Like we were
Yeah.
married in our case to each of our co-parents. So we know
Yeah.
what we need to really, right, key in on and ask our children and things about, the concerns we may have or we want to be proactive with it. So I do have a good sense of, the stability at this
Mhm.
moment. But please
That's
Mhm.
know,
great.
yes, subject to
I think
change.
everyone has different experiences. Like, you know
Oh,
what I mean?
absolutely.
Because it's like the devil you do know, versus the devil you don't know. But I honestly feel like, when you're living with that person, you're taking on most of the burden. Because I always call myself, like, when I was married, I was still a single parent. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I still
Married
had
single
that
mom.
safety realm around my children. I was still their protective layer. I'll say, like, there are things that I did not think that their father was capable of, and that I found out once I was divorced. Like, hey, you would really leave them without their medications? That wouldn't have been the case here because the medications would have always been at home or with them, you know? Or you're just going to drop them off with a stranger? Like, no, because when I'm talking to them, we're not doing that because I'm not doing that. But when you're no
Mhm.
longer a factor in the decision making outside the house, it becomes different. So it is a blessing if you have a partner, and more power to you when you have a partner that you can actually trust. When you actually have a real co-pilot
Yeah.
to guide you through the storms of parenting. Like, there's a lot of turbulence that can happen on the fucking plane with parenting. Like, but if you got a
Indeed.
good co-pilot, oh my god, that's a blessing.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. So let's talk about building confidence in the transition. So here are three things that are recommended for the time where your children are no longer your home and they go to the other house. Because I make it a point to say, this is home, that's a house. But that's my situation. Tosh, maybe it's two homes for her, but mine's one house.
There
I
is
mean,
one
one
house
home
here.
and a house. Huh?
There's one house over here, one home over here.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't even think, that their father has enough rooms if they were to even come over. Because, when you have like those custody orders, you have to have enough space for all the kids.
Based
Uh,
on gender, based on age, on
yes, yes.
yeah.
Like
So
that hasn't been happening for since we had the custody order.
yeah,
So
with the
yeah.
guardian item, but we're gonna talk
Mm,
about that another time. So,
yeah,
3 things that are recommended to build confidence during the transition is first, create a consistent ritual. Kids thrive on predictability, as Tosh mentioned before.
absolutely.
Have a goodbye routine, a special phrase, a hug routine, a little handshake, like
Oh, I like that.
something like that. Put a note in their backpack. I know when my oldest start to use a phone, I would make sure that both my numbers and my mother's numbers were written on a piece of paper in his backpack just in case an emergency came up and he needed to contact
Hmm.
us. Or a small comfort item. Kids love plushies. Like if you
Absolutely.
feel comfortable allowing them to take that plushie that they sleep with every single night, they cannot sleep without this plushie, then that plushie gonna be traveling right along with them. Okay. That's just an extra dependent in the household.
Absolutely. Or something like as simple as like a mommy son, mommy daughter friendship bracelet. They're
Mhm.
like, they have that with mommy is always with me. I'm not
Exactly.
even
Even when I can't see her or
worried.
touch her. Yeah, she's
Yes.
always I love that. So, this definitely creates emotional security, which we all need, but especially little
Hmm.
tiny people who are brand new to this earth, they need that emotional security.
Yes.
A neutral energy at drop off. So even if the co-parent relationship is strained, the child should not feel that tension. Sometimes I know it's easier said than done, especially when you have a high conflict. I only want to
Absolutely.
use the word co-parent because you got to do something to get the co-parent. You need some qualifications for that, baby. Just cause yeah, don't mean you a co-parent. Your body language says everything. So just try to be calm and patient. I mean, for my situation, we do not do pickup and drop off at my home because I did not feel safe and secure with my ex-husband coming to my home to pick up the kids. And I always noticed that the energy would come and seep into my space. And I had to protect that at all
It
times.
is very important to protect your space and the space of your children, especially
Exactly.
during those type of transitions.
So our pickup and drop off is at my mother's house. It was court ordered for a year after the divorce, and it was supposed to expire, and he tried. "Well, now I'm gonna start picking them at your house." You don't get to decide where you're gonna pick the kids up at. They're gonna be available where they've been available, at my mother's house. You are not allowed on my property. Do
I
not. He
I
was
could not
trying
agree
so
more.
hard, girl. He brought the cops to my house so he could get on my porch. He had that one fucking toe on my goddamn bottom step. He was happy to finally be back at that goddamn door. And I said, I don't give a fuck
Not
about you
today.
or the police. Both of y'all can get it. And I said no. I turned Sophia real quick. But go ahead.
I think it's so important to have boundaries
Mhm.
during like transitions and drop offs and pickups. Like, initially, like I said, it has been a long time for overnights or pickups because I mean, it just doesn't happen anymore. He's not consistent, but actually, just not here.
Mhm.
But, when he started to initially come to pick them up, every time I noticed that it was like his opportunity to try to talk to me. And I'm like, you're here for the kids, sir. And you got to make sure that you keep that boundary. Like, I didn't there was no crack in the door. There was no, you thought this was something else. And, sometimes that would turn into conflict because he couldn't control the situation. But I was controlling my situation because your home is your palace. You are the queen of your
Yes.
palace. And this is your safety zone. You don't let no crazy negativity, evil into your home. And there came a point where I said, "You wait on the sidewalk.
Hmm.
They will be out." There was a point where I was like, "Oh, I need a ring camera on my porch because every time you come here, you are raising your voice, causing conflict." I mean, I just boundary. I became a boundary queen. Like
You
I
have
am like a
to.
boundary pro now. Like blowing
You
off. I don't even
absolutely
come to
have
the
to.
door.
Yeah, my
You know,
cousin changed her pickup and drop off. They used to do drop off. She would take her son to his father's house, and then the father would bring the kid back to her house. But it got to the point that when she would take him to his father's house, he didn't want to go, and then the father would get upset and think that she said something to him on the ride there. And then, or he would bring him back, and then he'd be excited to get there. Oh, you just because you, it was always her fault, no matter what the situation was. So
I
when
mean,
she
that's
went to court, she switched it up. She was like, we're no longer going to go to each other's homes. You drop them off at school, I pick them up for school. That's a neutral location with lots of cameras and lots of witnesses around here. And then
right.
we don't have to be in the same space. Drop off is in the morning, afternoons in the evening. Yeah, she's like, I didn't want to do that 'cause I didn't want my son to have to lug his backpack from his dad's house and his backpack from school. The people like, why you got two bags with you and everything, because she didn't want him to be looked at differently for the kids who still were in two-parent households. She's like, girl, I got over that so damn quick. I was like, they probably ain't got their parents with them either. Like, I ain't about to worry about that. So she said that was the best thing that she did was decide to have that
That's
neutral drop
awesome.
off and pick
Yeah,
up. She's like, I
I
gotta
agree.
see him. He ain't gotta see me.
Yes, I will say I'm in the process right now of a modification of our agreement just to talk about those things, the
Hmm.
transitions and certain boundaries that are needed. And while we are able to co parent, we do not communicate right with each other. We do
Hmm.
not talk to one another. And I also, I didn't want my daughter to feel like she was just property, right? Like we're meeting in a shopping
Right.
plaza and all right, get out my car, you go over there in that car. But you know what? It's okay. You do quickly learn to be okay with those things, right? It's just a minute for this transition, but if it's needed to protect peace for you in your home, then, it's just something you have to do.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love that.
All right. So let me ask you this. What do you recommend when the other parent speaks negatively about the mom?
Just keep all the rhetoric grounded in facts. If you
Mm-hmm.
hear something that sounds negative or untrue about you, there's ways you can talk about it with your child and have them draw their own conclusions, right? These children are smart. They know way
Absolutely.
more than we
Super
believe.
smart to the point you be like,
Okay.
read
Exactly.
now.
So I ain't gonna say that's a bold faced lie, but I'ma let her, I'ma walk her through the journey. I'ma show her, well, here, baby, here's my phone. Do you see any missed calls from your dad on here? Like, something.
See, I think I got a little bit of old school parenting in me.
Mhm.
I'm not all that what's called gentle parenting. I think I'm gentle-ish. I ain't gentle over here because I tell you something. Now that's a goddamn like he said what? And I tell and that could be something I need to work on within myself. But at the same time, I
Yeah.
am not sugarcoating anything. Guess what? He doesn't sugarcoat anything with them about me. So I had to get to the point where I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to let you know what it is. And as you get older and that veil gets lifted more and more, I don't want you thinking like, dang, all these years I built up this animosity towards my mother because she wasn't the one telling me this and telling me that. And no,
Right. And then
I'm
get
gonna say it's an
addicted
age
later.
appropriate conversation. I'm not gonna give you the same stuff. I'm gonna tell my mom like,
Right.
let me tell you what this motherfucker told them. And I said that motherfucker a goddamn motherfucker lie because I told that motherfucker like I would talk to my mom like that or my friends about that and tell them, but not
Yeah.
my kids.
I think it's very important just to be honest. Like, I think it's okay for your kids to see you as human and understand that, like, if there is a lie told. Now, granted, I'm always with the philosophy that like other people's opinions of you are not your business. So fuck them. Like, you know what I mean? But it's kind of hard when, you're hearing these opinions as a kid from the other parent over and over again. So, that's part of when your kids come home acting a little different, acting weird because they didn't heard things. But if they honestly ask me something, I just tell them the truth. Like facts only. Like you say, stick to the facts. Like, no,
Yeah,
this is not what happened. This is what happened, and this is why. Or if there were times where he didn't show up for those transitions, and they'd be waiting at the door. Well, why didn't he show up? He made that decision not to show up. He said he was coming and he did not. Sometimes people don't show up when they say they're going to, but that doesn't mean the show stops right here. We can find something else fun to do. Like, I try to make sure that I wasn't speaking negatively of the man, but always speaking honestly because I don't want them thinking that that shit's okay.
yeah,
It's not okay. People are supposed to be consistent for their kids. They're supposed to show up. They're supposed to
right.
keep their word. I live by example. And when someone doesn't follow that example and they ask me a question, I speak on it, but honestly, try to be unbiased. I mean, it's hard to
Right.
be unbiased sometimes, but you just gotta say it. Sometimes your eye be twitching, but
I don't hold my tongue anymore. I did, and it was doing, I feel like, more harm to my children than anything because
probably to your
I was
nervous
trying
system.
to be a true co-parent versus this other person who had an agenda to campaign against me as the primary
Exactly.
parent, as the sole provider, and everything else. That's why I got to the point I was like, yeah, this
Okay.
is what's up. And I'm gonna tell you, I ain't doing too much, but at the same time, I was like, well, you know what? That's something you need to talk to you about your father. Yo, damn daddy. He went from father to daddy real quick. Hold on now.
I often think about how we're gonna be when we are like 70. And I just imagine y'all making the same faces and like me just cracking up. Like Isha's gonna be a crazy old woman. I am too, but like when we get older, oh
What?
my God. I said, the faces that you make a lot, I imagine them on you as like 70,
Oh yeah.
75.
Ain't nothing gonna
I'm like,
change
oh,
this.
unfiltered, pure gold. Like it's going to be amazing.
Say what I want to say, and I might have a real cigarette, Tosh.
Don't
It
butt
might turn into a
in.
real one. It might
Well,
be a candy one.
you know what I'll be smoking.
Dick, dick and balls. So let's talk about.
When it comes to communication between co-parents or parallel parents, I think it may be actually effective if you have a co-parent. But sometimes when you have an angry parent or a bitter parent, they exist. Communication sometimes has ulterior motives and bad intentions, or they just think it's that moment. It's important to keep it brief, informational. This is an educational conversation, and that is it. And focused on a child. I got to a point where I was like, yeah, you cannot reach out to me. You have to email me because I needed everything in writing because it was like, hey, I can't even do a phone call with you. You tell me one thing and then you don't show up.
Like talking in circles
Yeah. And I
to
mean,
wear you down.
exactly. We already have enough to do as single
Mhm.
parents. Keep it straight to the point. That way you leave emotions out of it. It doesn't get long. You got shit to do. You know, it's very important to use written platforms. I know that for me, when I went through custody, they gave us this court appointed app that we had to use. And on there, like, I could plug in the days that he was supposed to pick them up, actually say, hey, when he didn't show up, I would plug it in there. So there was no discrepancy when we went to court to be like, oh, you came to pick up the kids. And then I also had to get that camera on my porch. That's also a good thing, too. Like, Because don't put it past people to make up stories. And the
And
video
take you to
evidence
court with it.
exactly is awesome. And never use your child as a messenger because it's detrimental to their mental health. And I feel like, there are questionable circumstances. Like there have been times where I couldn't reach the father of the children when he had the kids.
Mhm.
So then I would have to talk to my oldest. Like, hey, are you safe? When she called with her concern, I'm like, let me call your dad. That's my first thing. I'm going to communicate with the adult. But then if you can't, you got to do what you got to do. And don't feel bad about it. Like, still keep those guidelines of like trying not to involve your kid in adult situations. But if they are already in an adult situation, like in my case, my child when she was younger was left at her father's house with her other siblings, for hours on end.
Wow.
And she was having to take care of them. And sometimes I could have been on a business trip or not right there close. So,
Mhm.
I would have to get family members to go pick them up or whatever they needed. Sometimes I think communication is great when it's directed to the child, but not to send a message, especially not a negative message to the father.
Mhm.
If you can't reach them and they're like, hey, I need to know what medication needs to be taken. Dad's not here. That's a, or how to use this inhaler. Sometimes these things actually happen. It can be like a very difficult circumstance. So, use judgment, use discretion if you have to communicate something through a child, but never any negativity. Again, educational, medical necessities, it has to be a true need for the kid. Shouldn't be anything else.
And the way that I communicate with my co-parent is through a court-appointed app. We cannot talk on the phone. Don't even send me a email. Don't send me a letter in the mail. Don't even send me a carrier pigeon. Don't talk to me other than through that app because I
Yeah.
want you to be very aware that someone else has access to this and they can see how you speak to me. He's the model parent on that app. It's some sarcasm that other people could read it like, oh wow, that was a nice message. I'm like, so you ain't read between the fool lines. This fool done
Right.
said this, that to you. But
Right.
I know what it means because he can't help himself. Anytime he communicate, he gotta
Right.
somehow put a little dig in there. Put something that he knows I will understand what he means by that because of the years of abuse during the marriage and the relationship.
Exactly.
So, yeah, he can only talk to me through that app, and the app actually has a meter on it where if you're talking reckless, because it does it to me when I'm like, "See, you think," I start getting on Twitter fingers with
Right.
him, and I started going, it'd be like, green, green, yellow, yellow, red, red. Please readjust this conversation, and then I'll underline where you need to readjust. That sounds like a command to me. I know. Send. I said what I said. I said what I said. Any other time, like, okay, no, I don't want no problems. Let me get back down to green. Every once in a while, I'll try to do some yellow. But he pissed me off to the highest level of pistivity. I went straight red on that thing, bold, underline, italicized, and I ain't care. It was like, according to your last message, there seemed to be some conflict. Okay, he started it. Sin. It is what it is. So,
Listen,
yeah.
remember that you're human,
Yep.
and it's hard to
Take it to
co-parent.
court. Email it. Take a picture. So Tosh, can you share what's one thing you wish every divorced parent understood about kids and transitions?
That your kids are their own people, right? They have their own feelings, perceptions, how they are taking in all of this newness. And your
Mhm.
child doesn't need you to win against the other parent.
Mm-hmm.
They need you to be their emotional anchor. Kids are little people with big complex feelings.
Yep.
They aren't bargaining
Absolutely.
chips, they're not assets, they're not puppets. The
They're not
transition,
photo ops. Have mercy.
Girl.
yes.
Mm.
And also, just to know, right, the transition won't be linear and have compassion and empathy for your children. This is a lot for them to take in. Their whole lives have been turned inside out, and they are inherently unstable since they're forced to reside in two homes, which
Yep.
isn't even something that we have to do, right? Like we
Yeah.
still
Exactly.
have our
I
home.
can't even imagine.
Yeah, seriously. So put yourself in their shoes.
Girl, I didn't even look at it that way, Tosh. Like, if I had to go stay with somebody for certain days out of the week or
That's
every other
crazy.
week or whatever, how I would feel as well. And your kid is going to a place where, fortunately, your co parent provides a room your co-parent provides clothing,
Mhm.
coats, shoes, all that here. So your child is going to a stable place. But now looking
Yeah.
at my situation, my children are going back and forth with a book bag because I have to
Mm,
provide all their clothes and everything, coats and everything while they're over there with their other co-parent. I couldn't
Yeah,
imagine having to go in between with a bag. Like I didn't even
exactly.
think about it that way.
literally carrying more baggage for them.
Not even
Yes,
just
that you
that,
didn't
like,
create. You did not create
also
this.
Yeah.
exactly, what about carrying fear? Like, my kids started to
Mhm.
pack snacks when they left because they
My
weren't
mom would
sure
send them with
what was
snacks too.
going to be there.
Yep.
So I'm like, "Well, take all this with you, whatever we can take, put it all in this bag." When you think about having to send food to the co-parent, is that a co-parent? Is that really a co-parent? Like,
No.
or, "Hey, I sent meds, you didn't even send them back." Like, what is happening here? Like,
Mhm.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy to think about. That's a lot for a kid. I can't imagine. I can't imagine like having to stay somewhere else and like not packing enough panties. But luckily, I don't be wearing them things. I be free balling. So like, what if you didn't have enough draws? Like, for a kid,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
personal choice when you get older. But like, I left these at mom's, or I left my toothbrush, or I left.
Yeah.
Can only imagine. If you could leave single moms with one mindset shift, what would it be, Tosh?
I got something for y'all. I'm gonna pull that reverse Uno and ask y'all for some advice because I am having
Oh,
some identity issues, right? Like, I am not a single mom. I have a co parent. We have joint custody of our child, and our schedule is 1 week on, 1 week off. While yes, that 1 week I am on 24/7, but then I am off and you know, I could feel like a part-time mom or feel that I don't fit into the single mom conversation because I know when
Mm.
I do talk with some, friends or associates who are single moms, they're like, "What? You had a whole week without your child? Oh my God." And, I just feel like, okay, maybe I don't fit in this conversation.
Mhm.
But then with mothers who do have their children all the time, like I don't quite fit in there either. So, what advice would you give for folks that are in my situation?
like when you have your child by yourself, during the weeks you have your child by yourself, you are a single mom then. She is depending solely on you then. And even when she is with her father, you happen to be blessed to have a good father, a good co parent. He's also a single father. You guys aren't together. Like,
Yeah.
you have to make decisions solo. You have to, when she's sick at your house, no one is coming to like switch turns with you to sleep.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I
taking
mean?
shifts and stuff. You gotta be up
Right.
that whole entire time.
Yeah, you have to utilize your resources. You just been blessed with resources. It doesn't make you less than, doesn't make you a part-time parent. You are
Yeah.
always accessible to your daughter. I think that you were able to utilize your resources and you have those resources there. You have the resources of that partner. I think it's all about the way that you frame it. You do fit into the conversation because you are able to encourage, like, there are people who take it for granted when they have a good partner, when they have a good co-parent or someone that can split the load with them, because parenting is hard, especially by yourself. And there are weeks, I'm sure, when you have her, that's not your week off, but you may still feel off. Your mental health might not be together. You may
You
feel stressed. You may
got a
be
big
sick.
project at
You may,
work that still need to be done just
yeah,
because you got a parent. I mean, I got a,
you
a
still got to
child.
show up.
Drop
And it's
off,
not like,
pickups. Yeah.
exactly. It's not like when she's gone, you ain't a mom no more. You
And like
still
you
you
just bust
still
up a
make
cigarette and just say, "This is my week to do what I want to do. 'Cause that's what I want to do." Who gonna say something? Who gonna check me, boo? Oh, and also, I'm glad you hit on a lot of points about you are a single mom. There is
Mhm.
no other co-parent readily available in your domain, in your home, in your schedule. When you have your child for those 2 out of 4 weeks, you're a single mom. When you don't have your child in those 2 out of 4 weeks, you're still a single mom. But guess what? Who's financially funding that household for that child? You. You don't have a
Right.
co-parent there,
To split them bills.
sharing their check or whatever it could be. You are a single mom. And also, let me just point at that part. Who give a fuck about what the other moms and their situations is? Because it sounds like you were judged by the other women who may have their children more time or don't, as Quay said, have a co-parent. I don't want to use the word partner. I mean co-parent. You don't have
Yeah,
they don't have the co-parent that you have or the situation or the schedule that you have set up.
exactly.
So, and like I don't give a that don't make you less of a single mom and that don't make you more of a single mom. Ain't no hierarchies of single
Exactly.
moms. I like it. That sounds crazy to me. My schedule
It's
was
all
different
work.
than Quay's. Quay's schedule was different than yours. We're all still
Exactly.
in the same boat, single moms. We do not have a co-parent in the household with us, helping us out with those children.
And in all honesty, divided we fall. Like if we all work together, everybody
Right?
works together as a single mom. We give tips and tricks and trying to get through this together because we don't have that other counterpart,
I
you
would
know?
never fix my mouth to say, "What? You got your kid only 2 weeks out of the month?" Comparing it to my situation. No, that's hers. She has a co-parent that she can trust with her
Exactly.
child and don't have to fight at the court and get a guardian light and say, "Proof, this motherfucker ain't fit." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that is
Exactly.
a blessing. I'm thankful that my friend have something like that. I'm thankful for all the
Yes,
women who are single moms who have something like that. That is huge to have in your life.
absolutely.
But we're all in the same boat.
Exactly.
It's like,
Mhm.
you hear the word single mom, and whether you want to believe it or not, I don't know, you get this picture of that mom that's holding it down by herself solely. And I was brought up by a single mom. There was no
Mhm.
father in the picture. So, I think maybe that's me. That's my perception of a single mom because that is what I saw growing up. But
Mm.
now
That's
that is not
understandable.
my case. Yeah. But I really appreciate how you guys broke this down. And you're right. Like, we're in this together.
Mhm.
'Cause we
I mean,
all go
people are
through the
always
same
gonna have something
emotional
to say.
roller
Yeah.
coasters.
Yes.
Whether you got your kids all the time or you got them sometime, it does not matter. We are still trying to do the best we can with what we got.
Absolutely. All right. So, single mom honey, if transitions feel hard, it doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. You got to do what works for you. Like we said, single momdom looks different on everybody,
Yeah.
right? But just give it your best. It means that you care. However you do it, you get it done. You care as a single mom.
Yeah, and confidence comes with clarity.
Mhm.
Clarity comes from boundaries and compassion builds resilience. So for you and your babies, remember you're not raising a child between two homes, but you're raising a child who belongs in two homes or one home, one house. I said what I said. If this episode helped you, share it with another single mom and encourage them to become a part of the Honey Hive.
And don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us for more conversations about health, wealth, healing, and everything in between.
Whole motherhood. So thank you so much, Tosh, for joining us. This was an excellent topic. And if you too, once I said before, are interested in being a guest or providing just a topic recommendation, go ahead and send us an email at singlemomhoney@gmail.com. So Tasha, thank you.
I love y'all, mother honeys.
Girl, we snatching that.
I like that.
Yeah,
I
we gonna
like
snatch that. We gonna snatch that. So we appreciate that.
And that's going to wrap it up for us today. You bring the tea.
And we got the honey.
See you next time.
Thank you.